Welcome back to the Rogues Guild. I am joined by Steven Hulshizer, a recent top 8 rogue from the Ottawa tournament, I think is what we're calling this. This is Magna Carta's online GP. So it's technically the Canadian GP, but Steven here top 8'd with a Mooshtart feasting list. So Steven, go ahead and take it away. What are we looking at here?
Okay, so starting from the top, we're just gonna work our way through the main deck, various stones, sideboard, and we'll talk a little bit about, I guess, some card choices. First one we have here, we have 3 Lumia Princess of Rebirth. We have 4 Melfies, 4 Pricias, 3 Welsers, 2 Neverends, 1 Magna, that's Guardian Beast, 2 Witch of the Fallen Kingdom, 1 Valentina, Owner of the Theater, 2 Intimidations, 2 Necronomicon Barriers, 3 Dark Alice Smiles, 2 Light of Rays and Revives, 4 number 13 Anti-Magics, 4 Lycaon's Magic Academies, 2 Optical Camouflages, and 2 Battle Comes to an End, and then. I guess we'll talk a little about the main board first before we go to the stones, because there's not much to say about those. Overall, main board's pretty cookie cutter compared to the KCville GP and the Europeans. It's probably close to the Europeans at this point. The only difference is that I chose to cut 1 Welser and cut 1 Dark Alice Smile to main board the Light of Rays and Revives, which was probably the best decision I made all week. That card came in handy so much.
So Light and Rays and Revive was like, yeah. What was the big hits for that?
The big hit was that, like, if you expected the mirror was also gonna be running cards like Dark Alice's Smile to remove your cards, or play Suya Curse of Ragnarok to remove a card.
Got it.
So at that point, it's 2 mana. You can bring back your Pricias, which are just at that point it's handy. You can, if you've already played the big show a couple times, it just catches your opponent off guard late game, which that's what it did in my mirror match. I think it was round 2. Here's Pricia off the top deck, and it won me the game. The other time was I actually was able to get, I was able to stick a Black Witch to stop them from doing Pricia stuff. They killed it, and then I just played Raise and Revive to bring it back again to stop them, and they just scooped after that.
So they got it with like a Lumia to remove the Black Witch? And then you later revive. Yeah, it's amazing how much of our meta, like, that was an awesome call that came out of Collinsville or Caseyville. Yeah. There was a lot of meta calls that had us removing stuff from the game. So like Pricias were getting like a lot of remove from hand, but then Lumia removing stuff from the field as well. So I'm glad that worked out well. Did you ever, like, were you ever looking at that card in your hand and was like, I need to use this to remove something?
I'm trying to think if there was ever a time I had to. I think I did it once on a Lycaon.
Yeah.
It was primarily there. I wanted to get rid of Valentina in the mirror match, because I know when I made this list, I was looking at the winner from Caseyville, who didn't run Valentina and didn't run Light, Raise and Revive. They just had 1 spot removal.
Yeah.
And I was like, I do not want to get blown out by Valentina. So here's a 2 mana card that, worst case, if I don't need to destroy Valentina, I can at least bring something back if it got removed.
Yeah, no, very multifunctional card. Like, great card that came out of. And for those that don't know, this is actually one of our GP promos, and it came out like with an alternate art, textured, like just a beautiful card, right? So being able to sneak in your GP promos like right into meta relevant decks, like, this card's been around for what, a year and 7.
It came out in Alice Origins in 2019.
Like, this is almost a 2-year-old card, right? Yeah. And it's, still, like, it's beautiful when they get a GP promo, like an old one that is still relevant. Yeah. So perfect.
Let's see. Other than that, Intimidation is kind of a new thing. They came from the European list. They were remaining it. I think they were using it to stop Violets from OTKing you in 1 turn. I guess also putting a halt to...
That came from the European list? Were they sideboarding?
No, they were mainboarding Intimidation.
Wow. Because I know that was something that we talked about for Olivia, like because we were trying to figure out the curve for Olivia, and then the 1-drop intimidation came up in conversation. I didn't realize that they had put that in their Feasting Mooshart decks.
Yeah, as long as you get that like extra turn against like a Bahamut drop from Violet, you can usually stabilize and win from there.
So essentially, what they try the Atomic Turbulence, and then you just in response intimidation, and then that kind of shuts the turn down.
Yeah, that, or if they just go straight into Bahamut, they just skip the turbulence part, and you can play in response to the cast, so that you don't lose your board in the process.
That's nice.
Yeah, I don't think it ever came. I think it happened once, but I think it also came up in the in a mirror match when my opponent was running Spirit of Magic to try and kill my Black Witch.
Okay.
Other than that, I did decide to cut the Sigurd Institute package. I'd been playing Sigurd probably since it released last year, and it kind of hurt to cut it, but honestly, it was kind of a dead card.
Talking to Fremont, I would agree. I like that we were able to narrow in on the Magna Never End, knowing that that was enough, right?
It's enough damage, yeah.
Plenty.
Yeah, like you don't play Rhea, so Rhea doesn't get Sigurd anymore. Now you're relying solely on Priscia, but if you do that, you're not doing the Priscia train into Magna to get 2 15/15s.
Yep.
And it's just not worth it.
Yeah, when are you not? When are you on 2 counters and you're like, I need Sigurd.
Plus, I mean, everyone's running 7 counter spells now.
Truth.
Or they're playing Black Witch, so what's the point of trying to cast a Sigurd if it's going to get bounced back to your hand or get canceled in the process?
Yep.
Just not worth it.
Yep.
And I guess the last little piece here is before the event we talked about running Scorn of Dark Owls instead of Smile.
Yeah, this was something that came out of Caseyville, is essentially the big brain group up in Minnesota had already picked up that everybody was being removed, so they started doing Light and Raise and Revive, and so to counter the Light and Raise and Revive, they started going for Scorns, right? Scorn taking a Resonator to the graveyard instead of Dark Alice taking any chant addition non-Resonator to the removed area, right? So same cost, same everything, but essentially from the meta perspective, you're looking at like Priscia's being your big target. Either of these spells hits that. But then you go into meta decisions of like in the Violet matchup, you're going Bahamuts or you're going Turbulences and all the atoms, right? And I think what everybody has decided is that the Bahamut is actually the better card to rip. So there was kind of arguments there, and then like there's also you can look at this matchup and hit Melfi's. Melfi's feel pretty good, but you'd rather rip 13s, and so that's where it's like there's plus and minuses to either one. So how'd you end up on yours?
I had no problem with the Smiles, but there again, I didn't see many. I only played against I think played against 2 Violets. I don't think that this card ever came up that much. I think the battle came to the end was more important in those matchups. But the Smiles were actually pretty helpful in the mirror match against Feasting Mooshart, just nailing the barriers, the seals, the Welsers, and Priscias. I think there was one point I actually just skipped the Priscia and just went for the cancel spells because you can do your Priscia stuff all you want, but if you don't have the cancel spells to stop my Black Witch.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
The barriers, I guess, at that point, you're just like, sure. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, and then I guess,
so I guess real quick, let's talk about the battle comes to an end, because I think that's the real spicy.
Oh, I love that card.
This is what we talked about. All right, so to set the stage here, this is a 3-cost, non-quick cast spell. How the hell did you get away with playing this card?
Eventually if you just get Lycaons on board to just make extra mana, that just leaves you with a lot of stones that you can just do whatever you want to on your turn. So I think I only cast it 2 or 3 times over the course of the event.
Okay.
But I did in the mirror match, I nailed all the Priscias. At that point, his win con was pretty much gone. I did it against the Violet. I named Turbulence at that point because he'd already played 2 Bahamut's. But like, you can't have more than one. It's not worth it. So you get rid of the turbulence I didn't see any of. So like, didn't have to worry about that gameplay.
Yeah, didn't have to be law of silenced.
Yeah. As well as cards, like, if you see it, like, you just kind of put it, like, if you don't need it, you just put it away with Mooch Dart. But if you see it at the right time, it's like, this is handy. I never did the turn 1, do the, was it have a Lycion, tap that, play Melfi, and then use the floating mana from Melfi with a tap from V-Sing to cast it on, like, turn 1 or 2 or whatever.
Yeah, you never aggressively played this card.
No, never aggressive. It was mostly like, I'm kind of in control. Here's the icing on top to kind of, like, push me further.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
That's not bad. I'm glad that worked out, because that was one of those. I remember in our Discord, I was like, did you already submit the deck list? Are you sure you don't want to test that?
If it didn't work out, it'd been fine. I like the card too much not to play it.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. I'm glad it worked out, and I do. I like this list. I think it's very refined. I like coming off of the Sigurds. I like it's a good amount of black. Still having, like, I think in a lot of lists, optical camo like has been cut, and I just don't agree with it. I'm glad it's in yours, because I think optical camo is a fantastic card.
It's not bad when you have a ruler just that gives you free void mana.
Yeah. I mean, it's a nice versatile card, you know.
Plus, I mean, I don't think a lot of people think of it much. Like, you can just bounce your own. Like, I played Melfi at one point, and they played Necro Barrier. I lost my enter effect, so like it just sat down the board.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually, I just optical back to my hand to replay it, just to finish the train later on.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't need to bounce your stuff. I'm gonna bounce my stuff and get more value.
Yeah, I think the cheekiest thing that I ever saw was when, like, somebody cast the last lecture, Welser on inner, chased inner effect with optical camo to put Welser back in hand, and I was just like, well, that was actually good. Like,
that's greedy.
Crap.
I don't know about that.
Like, double Welser. Jeez. My goodness.
Alright, so let's go move on to stones. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's 4 6 H stones, 3 black silences, 2 magic stones of knowledge, and 1 gusting skies. I don't think there's anything worth changing here. You're pretty much hard green in this list. You've got enough black mana here, and these magic stone knowledges get 5 colors, so you're have 6 5-color stones late game, so nothing matters.
So it's interesting, because this stone base, I feel like, was something that we had created with Sigurd in mind, right? Like, just being on 4 different stones was fine, like, when you're playing the Magic Stone Institute. And part of me expects, like, if you're not doing a Sigurd, to shrink this somehow, but you know what? Like, looking at all of, like, with the Light and Rays and Revives, with, you know, everything, I guess maybe you do need that gusting.
I mean, if you did want to go, like, the whole, like, Sigurd route to go Institute to, like, get the extra boost, like, I would cut 1 black silence and run, like, a Heaven's Rift, and then maybe convince me somewhere that we need, like, a Deep Wood somewhere.
Yeah, I think that was Cal's. Like, Cal ended up on 5 stones because he was still running Sigurd. But no, I part of me almost thinks it was like we would shrink this down to 3 stones to be more consistent in the 5-color, but I don't know. I like, personally, when I played the list, even without Sigurd, I like the stone base. This 4-3-2-1 here is just like, I almost want to carry this with me for, like, the next flipping, like, all next meta. Like, I love it.
I'm pretty sure that I think most of the lists between Caseyville and the Spain tournament, this was the primary stone bases.
Yeah, I agree.
There's nothing to change. Let's see, sideboard. This is probably, like, the worst part of the deck. It's
it looks like we cut and paste often on this. Like, I've seen this sideboard.
The deck is so good, the sideboard doesn't matter. That's the problem.
All right.
But from top to bottom, it's 2 Duet of Darknesses, a Welser Master of 6 Ages, an Almerius, another Intimidation, 2 Showdowns of Ragnarok, a Satan, Flame of the Outer World, 2 Dispelling Stones, 2 Duet of Lights, and 2 Witch of the Pointy Hats. I mean, it's whatever. Easy thing here is like the showdowns are for Ragnarok because you respect that deck and you just play it in case because this is just a blowout card against it.
Yeah.
The Satans are for the Violet matchup because you just kill it when they try to do something.
Yep.
Dispelling Zones are for Wolfgang because Wolfgang's actually kind of hard for this deck.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, it really is.
And then everything else is just filler. You know.
Yeah, I think this is one of those other, like, I don't know how much Wolfgang was floating around up in Minnesota because, like, that crew could not come off of Dolly Pulsing Thunder. And I would argue that the meta isn't for Dolly Pulsing Thunder right now. Like, Wolfgang potentially, though. Like, that was, like, I feel like that aspect was it. So maybe that was some of their deciding factors there. But
I would also argue that like running Dolly package in this deck against Wolfgang wouldn't help you because once they stick the addition that gives you the neg board state, if it gets up to 4, that Dolly's not gonna stick around long enough to actually play Pulsing Thunder. So it doesn't matter.
That's very true.
Yeah.
So Duet of Light, Almerius. Did you ever get to game 3s where you had to take advantage of just starting at 7k life or going with the life gain approach?
Nope, pretty sure most games were 2-0. I probably should have cited the Almerius for my top 8 match against Violet. Yeah. But it was more of just that was just more of a fun game. I'd already scooped. We were playing to see what happened. That was it.
Yeah. So like during Swiss, did you ever see a Violet?
Nope. I think I saw 2. I intentionally drew with the one in round 4.
Yep.
And then I played a guy in round 5.
Okay. So in round 5, you just went. Went. So, I guess walk me through where your opinion's at on this, because this seems to be one of the big things. Like, we've had many tournaments in this meta. This meta at this point should be solved for the most part, right? But there is still debate on whether or not you side into Almerius for the Violet match. What do you think?
I think it depends on the player.
The player on Violet?
Yes, the player on Violet. Okay. I mean, there is a level of skill to play Violet.
Yep.
I vaguely remember that game. Like, I mean, it was we played 2 games. I 2-0'd him. I think at one point he got me down to 10 life, and I just sat there at 10 life for 4 or 5 turns.
Wow.
I'm like, if he can, and I somehow won that game. So I'm like, if you can't kill me here, like, I don't think I need Almerius.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, I think if I just like have like perfect hands, perfect draws, like, it's okay, it's fine.
Yep. And that's the argument, is like we've built this deck that has some dead cards in your hand sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, we've built a deck with some fetch options, and you can't fetch something that's in your hand. So, yeah, that's, you know what? Yeah, I think drawing dead against Violet is worse than having, 4,000 life.
I think if I was to go forward, like, one of these Satans would go on the main board. Like, I played it in the last GP, when I played Almerius Feasting, and I just enjoyed it. And just having one in hand, so like when they flip, you don't just lose to Violet. Because that's how I lost my game 1 in top 8. Was he just flipped and killed me for 4,000 on one turn with Violet. If I would have had that Flames, I would maybe have not lost that game.
Yeah.
So I think we're in a meta where it's like you rarely ever go to game 3. Usually it's just a 2-0 and you're done.
Interesting. I would say yes.
I mean, top 8, finals get weird.
For that Violet, I feel like all of the Violet, like when I was in Caseyville, it seemed like a lot of the Violet matchups, Violet and Mujfith went 3. Because the coin, I felt like played such a big part in that matchup. But hearing what came out of this tournament though is a lot of 2-0 claps. So
yeah, maybe it's my lack of experience with Violets. I don't think I've played them enough to get like a firm grasp on it. But maybe they go to game 3 more often.
Maybe. But yeah, congratulations, dude.
Thank you.
So yeah, this was I was I was very happy, with what came out of this tournament. I'm very happy that the Rogues were able to go 3 for 3. The 3 Rogues that played in this tournament all got into top 8. We had kind of launched a get Cal the invite campaign. So Steven here, for those that don't know, Steven has his paid invite from Worlds 2019. He was top 8 in 2019, so he has already been invited back with a plane ticket. So this man's been goofing around quite a few tournaments. He played Celeste one tournament when he had no business doing that. Played Ragnarok down in Caseyville, into a damn near unwinnable Violet matchup.
3 back-to-back unwinnable Violet matchups.
It was awesome to see you jump back onto meta and prove that you're still you still are sharp, still ready for Worlds. It was awesome to see, buddy. Congratulations.
Thank you.
But yeah, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for hanging out with the Rogues. You're gonna see 2 more videos, one from Derek and one from Cal. So all 3 Rogues that topped, we're gonna get their deck profiles up. Thanks for stopping by. If you are interested in Force of Will, please follow the Rogues Guild on Twitch. We do streams on Twitch. That's our main social media outlet. You can also see our videos being posted up on TripleSleeveTCG. And if you have any questions, please reach out to us. We would love to talk Force of Will with you. So thanks a lot for joining us, and GG.